Good Wednesday morning to you. Yesterday in our devotion, talking about strength, I mentioned Sheol. It's one of my favorite Hebrew words, and you might think that that's odd because of what it is. Sheol is the deep places, the dark pit. It's a rather ambiguous word in Hebrew in that it's not necessarily a geographical location, or although it could be, but sometimes it's also a life circumstance. I mention that because today's Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. And sometimes I find myself midway through a week assessing how the week is going. How am I feeling successes? How am I feeling failures? How am I just feeling like I'm not getting anywhere? Maybe you are a little like that as well. And that's right about the time where that word Sheol comes back. Some of you messaged me yesterday telling me a little bit about your Sheols that you have been experiencing. Let me say this, we all have been there. We all experience Sheols, sometimes in a shallowness. What I mean by sometimes the momentary worries, the momentary fears, and sometimes we find ourselves in the depths of Sheols. Whether it's disease, whether it's depression, whether it's a major life change, Sheol can come and we can find ourselves in it before we even know it. So today I want to talk to you about Sheol from the perspective of my favorite psalm, Psalm 30. Psalm 30, the first 6 verses say this: I will extol you, O Lord, for you have drawn me up, and do not let my foes rejoice over me. O Lord, my God, I cried to you for help, and you have heard me. O Lord, you brought me up from Sheol. You restored me to the life from among those who have gone down to the pit. Sing praises to the Lord, O you, his faithful ones, and give thanks to his holy name. For his anger is but for a moment, his favor is for a lifetime. Weeping may linger for the night, but joy comes in the morning. It's that joy comes in the morning that gets me every time. But I want to point out that this psalm begins with a rejoicing of a deliverance from Sheol. Sometimes we find ourselves in Sheol and we don't realize that God is already at work to bring us out. Sometimes we get so caught up in Sheol and the darkness of it that we don't realize, we don't see the light that really is shining to us to help us see that faith will navigate the way out. I love how the first 5 verses of this psalm ends. Weeping comes in the night, but joy cometh in the morning. What's beautiful about this psalm is the reality that sometimes we go to bed with things unresolved. Sometimes we rest not knowing what tomorrow brings. But the psalmist reminds us that when we are in God's word, that when we are listening and when we are walking and we are feeling God walk with us, joy comes in the morning. That doesn't mean that everything's okay. It doesn't mean that there's happiness and we're singing and dancing all through our Wednesday. It means that today there is joy. So what does joy look like for you today? It can be simple. It can seem trivial. But don't mistake that God often works in the simple. And God cares about the trivial. Maybe today is epic for you. Maybe today you're about to experience something amazing. So open your eyes and give thanks to God. And if you look around and it still feels like a whole lot of Sheol around you, then go to bed tonight expecting joy in the morning. I think a lot of what we experience in faith isn't just what's in our heart, but it's how our heart and our mind connect. How are we seeing? How are we experiencing? How are we reasoning? How are we listening? I think a lot about faith is that connection that helps us to start making sense of the senseless. My dear friend and my prayer partner, his family lost an amazing young man this last week because of a tragic, senseless, stupid homicide. They have no idea what happened, but an inspiring, young, faithful, collegiate athlete was beat down in the middle of the night and died Monday morning. I wonder for this family, I wonder for those who loved him, I wonder for an entire community that is grieving, how they understand Sheol. For them, I'm sure it's easy to put their finger on it. And yet, I know that in faith, they're waking up to look for, to seek out, to experience some kind of joy. Sometimes that's what we are called to do in faith. Sometimes it doesn't come to us easily. We actually have to work at seeing what God is doing, how God is bringing us some sort of joy, some kind of reprieve from Sheol. Remember how the psalmist begins this: I will extol you, O Lord, for you have drawn me up. It's confident. It is assurance. There's no question. You did not let my foes rejoice over me. And foes aren't always people and adversaries. Sometimes foes are the demons that we're dealing with right inside our own self. O Lord my God, I cried to you for help, and you have healed me. God created us. He breathed his very breath in each of us. He won't let us suffer. He won't let us suffer in a place all by ourselves. He will bring us up. He will restore us. No, that doesn't mean that he always heals us the way we want to be healed. But he always restores us. He always finds joy in the morning. So today on this Wednesday, I hope that you can do a little bit of an assessment. What is the Sheol in your life? How is God raising you up from it? And what does joy look like for you today? It comes in all shapes and sizes and forms and experiences. So open up. Open your eyes. What does joy look like for you today? Hope you have a great Wednesday.